the deadlock is coming, right? We're waiting for it.
I hope so.
Oh, it's an alpha Yetejo. It is an alpha Yetejo.
Wait, we're not on my wish list.
Still playing Tejo. Okay.
You have alpha that can play the duelist so well. They can play the sentinel so
Chamber.
well. Yeah, Chamber here on
Chamber.
this map. Would have absolutely loved it, but this has to be the first Deco that we're going to see.
It might be the only.
And after the Nerves in, it might be the only, and it's alpha. So I'm calling you out because this is your fault after having an interview with him.
It is. I would take full responsibility, but Aves is hovering the ISO.
Yeah, and something that he played on this map previously was the Gecko, of course. So maybe they are going to decide to lean into that double duelist.
Yeah, it's like Crashies can pretend.
Yeah, this guy's
can,
trolling us big
thing
time.
is, when Aves hovers the ISO, we can actually use our brains and talk about it. But Austin hovering that jet, like, be for real, you know? Yeah, take a day off, take a day off. But this Vice, though, okay, there we go. There we go.
Oh, yeah, it's back to the Gecko.
So they haven't changed a single thing. We should expect the same approach that we were seeing at the beginning of the year. Again, they were completely flawless. This was their home ground, something that we have known KC for this entire year. Just picking a map, making it their own, and guaranteeing that they're going to get the win. Again, for this first map, it all falls onto Fnatic. You knew that this was coming.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's why they've gone with this. Of course, it's a map that we've not seen Fnatic play, so I don't know if this is what they've had in their back pocket in kickoff, if it was ever picked against them. I think as well, like, it does, again, come down to preparation. Of course, this was a match that happened literally last week, right? So it's just taking away those learnings from the kind of the habits that each team has and what have they learned from that experience.
Yeah, and I love this head-to-head of Kayak and Martine as well. I think both players have come so far since the beginning of the year.
I think that their format is going to be so important. Martine and him dueling and battling to see who was the best duelist out of stage 1. We still have that question for stage 2.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this one. Definitely a surprise. And it doesn't get better than this, and I can't wait to hear what your casters thought of that agent select. Over to you, Mitch and Tom.
Thank you, Yinsu. It's been over a year and 3 days since we've seen these two teams battle down on that EMEA stage, and they've got something cooked up, that's for sure, Tom. And Tejo, at this day and age, that's caught me off guard.
Well, one thing I'll say about Fnatic is you go back in the day to what they were good at on this map. Ratty post plants. Like, that was the Fnatic meta. It was basically, if you got into that after plant scenario, you'd already lost the round because Fnatic were just going to bury you with utility. I wonder if that's the plan again. Sure, those salvos have taken a pretty big hit, but if you have them left in the post plant, they are still disgusting, and you can now delay in between each one, which is going to be hitting. So I'm excited to see what sort of ideas they're going to have, and I think especially on that defense, how they're going to utilize the aggression. On the other side of things, though, yeah, as they were saying on the desk, it's a very comfortable map, or has been, for Karmine Corp. But I'm excited to see Aves. I think we saw him last week. Fantastic individually, and well, there is that aggression, and there is Kayak.
Heard a lot about the Sheriffs in the pistol rounds. We saw a lot. If you were watching the last series, Banji picking it back up with an ace in their opening round. Well, it's the Ghost that reigns supreme in that battle. The numbers for Fnatic traded out well. And a 3 versus 2, but they've got the wrong read. They're taking this towards the A site, stacking up the numbers. I don't mind this, especially in the pistol. Play together with that man advantage with Kayak so desperately low and a nade still to play with, but it's shaping up to be a retake of the B site. KC are going to walk in and find that nobody's home.
But now that Sanak has picked up a Sheriff, he looks like the ultimate pistol raid boss. He's got a full belt of utility and a Sheriff to play with. And as we know, those sensors can be a little bit rough, at least when it comes down to holding on to the lurks. But when it comes to the post plant, they are fantastic. He's going to be able to buy an awful lot of time wherever he decides to put them into position. They're going aggressive, though. Elite, this is a nasty spot. They want to try and get ahead of things. The Thorns will also be used to pull off a little bit of extra delay. And now into a 2v2, they're going to look for the plant.
Now the damage done to Elite, massive, but he has that utility to play with and play off of. Immediately you can see that although the Thorns have been destroyed, the sensor's now active for that run out of the spawn. They don't know about Kayak making his way in through hookah, but that reposition down to long.
It's
this is
glad to go get another pistol.
That ammo's running low. Now this is where the real problem is brewing for the side of Fnatic. Time starts to tick away. They've just now broken through that wall as it fades, and Sheriff in the hands of Fnatic. As you said, it can do a lot in these rounds already, dropping Kayak, who was desperately low. But Chronicle still on full health. He's putting the time on his side with a half defuse, but dropped down behind him. Fnatic with the execution gives a round to KC.
Yeah, I love how they played that. Like, as I said, the post-plant success, once you have all of that utility in position, like they had so much info. They weren't worried about any spot because the sensor gave the game away. They also had the wall just buying so much additional time, and while from the top rope at the end, he'll even be there to close it out individually. We saw Sadak at EWC actually have some pretty big games. I was impressed with his level. Like, a lot of the time you look at someone like him in terms of a leader, and you say, okay, he's going to have to focus on setting everybody else up. But I think it was in their opening match, he played incredibly well. So I think if he can keep that sort of level up, Sugetsu, we've already seen across the year what sort of level he can hit. But in recent times, it has been Aves. So he's the man I'm going to be focusing on, because I think when it comes from the Fnatic side, we know what we're getting. We have superstars. We saw it at Toronto, the performance of the likes of Alpha, Kayak, I think has really shown that he is a very valuable member of this team. But with KC, it's kind of, okay, what can they do, not just over this next stage, what can they do versus Fnatic?
Now's the time to prove what they've got. Test of their mettle down on that EMEA stage, a 1-0 start, and what should be an easy follow-up. They've got Stingers and the Sheriff, and they're up against practically nothing.
But this is a half fight from them. Yeah. They're actually trying to build up their own economy early by not fully investing into this round and potentially having these weapons as a bonus in the next. A slightly different look at the economy. We'll see how clean they can keep it, at least right now, very.
I think this is the thing, it's the numbers, the fact that the Stingers are going to move as one. A direct approach is necessary in a round like this. You spread in defaults, and you can lose a fight just like that. But when you've got buddies with Stingers in hands, it's always going to be traded out. 2-0 start. It's one Stinger lost, as one player did have a Sheriff to work with. Not the biggest impact on the economy. They get a decent bit of a bite to this follow-up round. And as you said, Tom, a lot of money saved over, a lot of credits in the bank to the side of KC.
Yeah, I like the idea. I don't think we've seen anywhere near as much variation in what teams are doing nowadays. Most will go for either 2 or 3 rifles and pistols. That's kind of what we get every single time. So I like the fact that KC are mixing that up, and they feel very confident with those Stingers, something that we've definitely started to see come over from Americas, the investment into that SMG. Well, for Alpha, it looks like he's going to be the one under pressure. Ults are yet to really build up. Sadak is the one who's closest. Could get that Annihilation online with an orb and a plant.
Been a bad time to put that drone out. Now, a fair bit of information awaits it. Round it goes. 2 spotted. Orb taken, though, on the side of KC. And Sadak just 1 away from his ultimate being online. Annihilation could prove to be very useful indeed in a round like this. Kayak's ult already there to play with, and the showstopper pointed in the right direction. Definitely swing things even further in their favor. For KC, it's about finding opportunities. They fight for B long, they take the orb, and now it's back to this A-site play where Chronicle is the only man on site. You've got Crash, he's holding down that bath control. Chronicle needs to get something. Punish that push in. If it comes.
Yeah, it seems like they're a little bit hesitant. Maybe not spotting quite as much information as they'd like, but back to B they go. Boaster up close. He has got to be careful. I think he's lost a lot more control into Hookah than maybe he believes with the Viper screen up. Now going to be slowed to a whole 15 seconds left now as the push will eventually come through. A decent trade to start. Aves with 1, but Boaster at the back of the site has done well. He's made sure this isn't going to go any further. The plant now has to be stuck, and although Aves has hit the shot, it doesn't matter anymore. The round has already been lost, the time has already ticked, and while for Sugetsu, I don't think he wants to save, and will eventually go down.
Solid work by Fnatic. It comes at the cost of an investment of the showstopper, but a worthy cause to put it in for. You already saw the salvos from Alpha used to allow the reposition alongside the screen, so Boaster could get towards that backside and ultimately end up denying that plan. My eyes are definitely on Teho in the ideas that Fnatic have for his usage when it comes to that attacking side. I think it can be a little bit more obvious what he's going to do with it, certainly in terms of post plans.
Retrieving good hit.
But on the defense, finding value with this agent is something that most teams haven't even bothered to attempt.
My territory, my proof.
That's early.
It was immediate. I guess trying to catch someone potentially in lamps. No, it's going to be bounced into the back of sight. It had no impact at all. It hasn't forced anyone on Fnatic to move. It hasn't caught anyone either.
Here.
I guess maybe just hoping that they'd have a read, but not the case this time.
Monster on the loose.
A misclick, I mean, it seems super early. I'm not sure that they saw the player close left. Oh, well, now they definitely know, but Crashies still gets his one. He needs the support here of Chronicle, and, well, he's there for a double. Crashies even goes pushing forward, and then, well, this hubris will be his downfall, but a 4 versus 2. That bathroom hold has certainly given Fnatic the upper hand.
The flank as well. Now the Vice wall is there to make sure that any further steps would be a problem, but it does leave a gap.
30 seconds left.
On the other side, that's one that Boaster is starting to push, starting to take space. Pretty much surrounded at this stage. Mafia are even just going to sit around the edge of the wall. It's left all onto Elite, and I think honestly the only real plan is to try and save the gun, but I don't think he knows how much space has been lost. Boaster is there behind. It is 4 players that survive for Fnatic. A very clean round.
Absolutely, yeah, when they start against that Annihilation, I mean, that seemed to present a big danger for them. You think about those players pushed up in back.
Thrash as well.
How easily they could be isolated. Yeah, Thrash then thrown through to clear them, not catching Crashies.
Come on, then.
Although he's baited out by the Yoru clone, he's still good for 1 with Chronicle coming in for the double. That went about as well as it could have. And a 2-2 start, but momentum certainly in Fnatic's favor, as is the economy. KC left back with a weak buy. Sheriffs, the Guardian, that's all they have to work with here. And no ultimates to try to bridge that gap. This will be a tough round to find value in. The stuns and nades sent through, good opportunity. Just off the utility for Fnatic, and it does some damage as well. The cross has now been made. KC are all the way in towards Lamps. They're being boxed in though, pushed on, and Chronicle and Crashies clean that up. Now they've got the spike.
I think a lot of the danger also gone.
Not ready yet.
The Guardian of Sugetsu, the spike also dropped. Maybe the worst position on the whole map.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to claim back.
I don't know how you get that one back. I don't think they'll even try. It would just be about damage at this stage for KC. After a solid start to this one with the pistol and follow-up. It's been anything but success thus far. The hope will be to at least drop at a weapon or 2. It was 4 alive in the last round. 5 in this one would be a pretty damning position with the finances.
30 seconds
Fnatic
left.
being incredibly high. And they haven't really had to use any ults. It was a showstopper they used a couple of rounds ago, but other than that, they're all building up. And while Elite at least takes 1, it's 4 again for Fnatic. They're still going to have a lot of money nonetheless.
They're going to have credits. They're going to have ultimates as well, with orbs needed on KC to get any of those online, but just 1 away from a couple. Question how valuable those can be, especially when there's clear counters available to Fnatic on the other side. This wasn't a bad idea. The fact that they'd seen the push-up on Bath, the 2-man stack there, you think this is going to be a little bit easier to claim space, and it certainly proved to be. The problem is what they did with that space, and as soon as Fnatic realized it, gave up Bath control, and came in to just box those players in. Players who had the spike. That was the end of it. KC, a stumble, but in a round where they didn't have a lot to work with. Now, they've got their weapons in hand and a much more direct approach. Again, taking advantage of that space that they've seen to be lighter for the defense. Fnatic will give up all control of plant found by KC early.
I always liked that A-site executes. They're using the thorns for the backside. We've also seen that deadlock wall used in similar fashion. Straight away though, a couple of ultimates used just to try and get back in the Nightfall in combination with the Cosmic Divide. Martin did well to hold the line initially, but Crashies has just swept them. 3 in a matter of seconds. And now 1 more comes up for Chronicle, but it's going to be left on to just the pistol. It didn't matter though. The shorty is enough for Alpha. Yeah, you can take away his primary weapon, but he'll make it look easy anyway.
Well, the start of that fight went about as well as it could for KC. A Sonic Sensor tripped and a player stunned in the open. They needed someone on the side of Fnatic to step up. And it was Crashies to pick up. Oh, what a wonderful triple.
Yeah, the second.
I'm glad we get this twice, because that is nasty.
One enemy.
He just recovered this completely, and then even with the Steel Garden, like you said,
I
you
didn't
play
know
up close.
your season is going there. You like that?
You're ready for that fight, but the shorty catches them off guard. 4-2. On the side of Fnatic, looking clean for these last 4 rounds. I wouldn't say unchallenged, because it did need a big play from Crashies, but they're delivering when they need to.
I think his ultimate being used and then getting halfway back to it.
Locating target.
Immediate information already had. Armageddon is available, and bear in mind that a B long push versus 1 leaves you with very few places to go, especially if he starts it off behind them, which I would assume he would. Contact's actually being waited for by Crashies as well. They are getting close to that TP, and it's going to have to be taken. Completely forced off the angle. I like the little addition of the grab wall, but none of the players deep enough. It does seem like KC was aware of that potential.
Force them back in the other direction, though. Back into the waiting arms of Chronicle, who they're trying to spot out. That dimensional drift running thin, and they haven't seen him. They know at least that he's deep. They know they can take a bit of space. Fighting out of there will be difficult. Now they're cut off. Kayak had an aid in hand. Somehow still manages 1 and keeps on going. The site under Fnatic's control.
Left.
A 4v2, the story we've fallen back to in so many of these rounds so far. And KC, they're still stuck inside of Bathroom. They're being spotted on the walkout. There's players ready to swing. There's barely any time on the clock, and a triple from the man who had utility in hand as they pushed out. Failing to punish him, came back to bite them.
Yeah, Fnatic put them in the box this round. You had the Viper's Pit immediately down, holding down to that short A position.
Oh, that's nuts.
And then you had the setup of the Armageddon, ready and raring to go, so that, okay, we've forced them into a position where they can't go towards that A site without taking a big risk. Where are they most likely to push? We probably reckon towards that B long. Let's get the contact, let's force them back. And then the second Martin's gone back through the TP, he's like, well, I don't want to go all the way back over there and ult, so we're going to ult from here. They try and pressure through that setup, and Fnatic were just so ready for everything that they threw at them. I think it is the main point to take a pause, and as you'll note, this is where Dash is going to be doing most of the talking. The guy that does sort of lead the way with a lot of their attack sides for the information he'll bring in. I hope he's got something, because the last 5 rounds, although I think there's been moments in them, that one wasn't. I think the couple before last also wasn't. It's starting to get, I don't want to say a little bit too easy, but Fnatic look very comfortable.
I think looking back at those replays as well, catching that kill from Chronicle's perspective, it was a spam off the mini-map. Kayak would have been dead to rights. There'd be an avenue then for them to take space outside of that pit, avoid it completely, and leave Chronicle in a pretty tough spot. The fact that he spams through a very low HP from the decay, Sadak ends up getting dropped. That gives Kayak that little second wind, and he goes far with it.
All these stats have basically just been saying Fnatic are good. Yeah. It's like they win 60% of the gun v gun rounds. It's like they win 81% of 5v4. It's like Fnatic kind of good.
Who would have seen that coming?
It's crazy.
Telling the stories we didn't think to. But no, it is ultimately the strength of Fnatic is that they're good at almost everything.
They're good at the things you need to be.
Yeah.
You don't need to win a load of like low buy rounds if you're always on a... What? What did he just get shot through? That must have been the back corner of the mid-tube. That's disgusting from Sadak.
Keep it up for the replay, Andy. Thank you very much.
They found another one as well. This is starting to get a little bit shaky. Maybe we need their stats versus low buys, because those are starting to look a little bit better. As of right now, Chronicle there to save them at least and bring it back into a 2v2, but he does have to be careful.
Well, he's throwing caution to the wind, Tom. He went for that fight through his own snake bite, made himself vulnerable, and still the only damage dealt is at his own hand. That's giving them a chance here. 2 versus 2. Avez yet to retrieve a weapon as well on the site, trying to play off that sonic sensor that's now destroyed. Jump out.
Here.
Delayed a moment by the net thrown in. Fnatic's buying them a lot of time. Pressure's now on. They need to get out of here. And as they do, Fnatic is ready and waiting. They've spotted him to reveal. As he breaks, it gives away his position. And Avez left with a pistol in hand, but time on his side. He wants to survive, but Crashies from up top takes him out, but not quite in time. The clock, Fnatic's enemy. We've seen this before. And KC winning out the pay safeguard Thrifty.
Yeah, it feels like that was Fnatic trying to prove that he could out-rat the rat. So that's what Fnatic were always good at, was those disgusting little post plants. And I feel like his utility, like you look at the scoreline and see that he's currently 4-7, but you look back to the rounds that they've won and it has been his post plant utility that just caused so many issues for them.
Nice, Hassim! Bro, I whipped everything, Hassim!
It's all right, and that's on point. 5-3.
Cutting through.
Back to the buy rounds. That's where Fnatic do their best work, but a couple of ultimates to play with. One of them already thrown in immediately just to clear in towards this A site. A lot of the time you'll see players bring the Thrash back, but not Avez.
No. Hits it all the way. And he did send Chronicle wrapping around. Chronicle now forced to reposition towards Lamps. Gonna have an opportunity in a second, tries to play through. Maybe not Tahoe utility, but the salvos won't stop him. Sagetsu's down. In goes the Nightfall. Elite tagged up. They know exactly where he is, but running through that wall presents a pretty big risk. It's not just Elite, but you can see Avez on the mini-map is holding that as well. They didn't need to worry about spawn with the wall up, but now it's wide open. That spam desperately close. Won't quite claim the kill. And the advantage sitting with KC as time continues to tick. That flank up from Alpha grabs them one, but he's put to bed immediately. And then Elite chimes in with more. Kayak's been good, but this might be a little too much. One pick gives him the showstopper. But the time here, the biggest issue, clearing out two players will be top. He gets them though! And it looks like just in time. A mistake by KC to give him a chance.
Yeah, a Red Bull clutch, but one that I felt like should have been impossible. Like, if they just sit back, play the time, they utilize what's already on their side, it feels like KC has that round, but I guess having itchy feet, wanting to try and get the job done, and while I think just a little bit disjointed, like Martin jumps across, and I think it was the swing from Elite just wasn't quick enough.
With me.
I like that Kayak doesn't even stand up to tell them to sit down. He's just like, I'm not getting out of my chair for you guys.
Not worth it. Well, that's a round win for KC when they had Sheriffs in their hand, but a big loss here. That should have been their round. Even giving them the one pick is ambitious. That's the showstopper online with 8 seconds or so of a gap to play with. But both swinging and both falling. That's something that's going to be hard to reconcile. Now, they have lost Boaster right away, and Alpha fails on the trade. Damage done to Sagetsu, but an advantage for KC in a round like this, that is so valuable.
Okay, another one. They've been investing into this Sugetsu Guardian a couple of times. You can see why. Always been good for the headshots. Kayak well placed in position, has the showstopper as well. Doesn't manage to actually clear out anybody else, and just going running through the nade. He done so much damage as they look to try and cross into the site, but neither of them are kills.
Fnatic survived that showstopper with a sliver of HP, and that gives him enough room to put the net up to get this wall as well. Him surviving that engagement is massive, and with the sensors added into this, this becomes a very difficult retake. Sure, there's damage done, but Avez, one of the players that's low, now has an AWP in hand, so he'll be able to trade with you shot for shot and still come out on top. This might just be a save for Fnatic. An immediate response from KC. The sensor destroyed, but the player's now ready to swing, and in goes another net. Crashies again! The player to try to bail them out. He comes damn close, but Avez still drawing breath. Two players to work off that spike, and the AWP trained in on the angle will claim the round for KC.
Yeah, that post plant is so hard to beat. We've mentioned the deadlock utility, but I also like the fact that Elite's Thorns are irritating, but his flash more so. Like, he always times it incredibly well just to make those pushes back into the site that little bit tougher well, the risk of playing through that utility definitely paying off, but a lot of it just came down to some brilliance from Sugetsu. Winning both of those opening fights made it so much easier for them to continue into that round. A fourth, probably quite a needed one, but we've seen how clean those 5 rounds were from Fnatic. They still have a bye here, and sure, there's a judge, but I feel like that's a choice rather than a necessity.
Yeah, it can certainly give you opportunities.
Okay.
Straight through from Chronicle's good. He's found one from the TP. Can't get out of there. The spam's almost taken down. That's cancelled the play through. There was a snake bite down, a judge on the other side, but now they might have to fight for this. It's just going to go for the cross. Luckily, that orb giving him the cross for free. No spams to take him down. Fnatic get to reset and keep this 5v4 going. The judge will hold on to control of Hookah for quite a while.
It's not, unless he's somehow going to go to the other side of the map and get into lamps, there's not really anywhere else I want to see that judge. It's not a great weapon of choice at range. And KC have paused. They've slowed. And actually, Martinez just donged Kayak. A huge pick to take.
Blocking vision.
Definitely making things a little bit more tentative for Fnatic. They have to potentially go searching, try and figure out where this push is coming in, otherwise they will have a disadvantage. The thing that worries me though, Mitch, they're going back towards the judge.
They'll see it though. Now they know.
Yeah,
They've seen that weapon
it.
in his hands. He bails out. Poster giving up the space. Where will he find to play with this? In fact, he's in the open. Martin doesn't even need a flash. He knows that that's not a fight the Poster can take, but time is low. Dropping the spike here. Could have given them the edge that they need. That wingman is vulnerable. 6 seconds. The plant needs to be found. They've got to go for it now. There's no time. They would have to chase. Crashy's down, and he is out of here. A Red Bull clutch from Crashies. Not even needing to fire a bullet in that last fight. That is a blunder from KC.
Was it a clutch or was it a throw? that felt like one of those rounds that, like, every time it looks like KC are going to get themselves back into the game, they just do something a little bit silly. Like, just like the 2v1 swing onto a player that you knew exactly where he was. The plant where you could have just put it safely into the tube that you know is clear.
And it's up top as well, so they have to jump to get it.
I don't think that
a second to realize.
I don't think it made that much of a difference.
If it was on the floor, they might have been able to stick it.
But even then, if it's coming down to that, that's just silly. They didn't need to plant there. I think it was just muscle memory, but a couple of errors that have given Fnatic at least a lead at the half. If history is correct, it's always been their attack sides that have been better. For KC, I think it's going to be pretty important, even just to recover, so they get this last round of the half.
They need this 5th. This should have been a real opportunity to put it neck and neck at the half. Now they fight up against the Viper's Pit towards that A side. Passive play by Kayak. TP's taken, but Crashy's taking the life of Sadik. His utility's been a big part. Taking some control. Spike's going back. They're not committing the bath. This is a wrap to be, thankfully. If they were playing mid through that pit, this round's already over, but they've made the right read. Problem is, unless they go through long, all through long, they will have to contend with this judge again, and this time, no dimensional drift to clear him out.
If anybody headbutts it, they'll be dead.
Steel Garden? Yes.
Well, he's gone from one shotgun to another. Now it's shorties.
Two shorties.
And neither of them have connected. Great work from Elite. He's going to remove the danger, but there is still other danger to be had. Have to clear out Kayak, and this time they will plant, thankfully. A 1 versus 3 for Chronicle. There's nobody else you'd want, but Elite has done the damage in this round. 3 kills to give KC, I'd say, a well-deserved 5th.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, good read on the Steel Garden going through there. If that was a judge, Elite is dead to rights, but he gets a double the space that they need for a plant, and luckily, the time wasn't as hard against them this time. For Fnatic, though, 7-5, gifted that round towards the end of the half. This could be anyone's game.
Yeah, of course. Now going into the halftime. Let's hear from Kayak and his thoughts on his performance at Masters Toronto.
When it comes to my performance at Toronto, I had a bit higher expectations, but when it comes like was a lot of things that happened, like I got sick a couple of times, then some other problems, and when it comes like all together, I think I did good, so I'm happy.
No idea now, none the wiser. Kayak, it's your time to shine, and shine he does! Absolutely ridiculous!
My goals for, I would say this year maybe, it was just to get a trophy, and we got EMEA in theory, but after placing second, I think in Toronto we can make international trophy. So I think getting trophy, and yeah, I think just performing well and getting used to the stage and the environment and stuff in the VCT, because it's my also first year. So I think just getting used to the stuff and hopefully win.
Well, his performance here has certainly been admirable. Kayak coming out of that first half 13-7, but between him, some big rounds from Crashies, even one where he didn't need to get kills. The stats don't reflect that. And Chronicle leading the charge in some of those defensive rounds. Fnatic have certainly looked good. A lot online for them here. And I think this is where I look towards the Tahoe as having a lot of value for them to use, whether it's in clearing those corners or in those post plants. Certainly something that KC won't have cracked much against recently.
Well, yeah, we always knew this team for like the cross-map Viper lineup that would clear out B-Long, but ultimately with Teo you can do that at a click of a button. Plenty more. Also having that drone, it could be potentially just not wanting to play some of the other agents within the pool, not liking the Gecko, not liking maybe a Sova. For Alpha Year at least, that feels like it would make sense. This is very aggressive though. KC already taken an awful lot of ground, and it is being watched for by Chronicle. They don't necessarily have that same flank protection, and while Martin, he's already been able to take him out.
Battle of the Sheriffs going their way. Wall will be broken. Not sure they'll follow up on it, but even just putting those question marks into play, KC's head could be valuable. Rotation coming through from Aves after that B push. They just retreat to a more normal hold.
So much util here. Yeah. Like you've got the wall, you've got the sensor, you've then got the Arc Rose flash as well. Like they're making a play through middle. Feels like a death sentence. Well, they are eventually going to try and make that walk.
There's a flash from Aves as
30
well.
seconds left.
As Vice doesn't find them a pick. In fact, Elite is the one put in the ground. Nice shot by Aves, though. Evens up the numbers, but he's trapped. Has to fight his way out of here as his teammates rally to his side. The push out of spawn, spotted by Boaster. They've got all the info now. Taking these players down will be a different story. KC playing together, Sugetsu watching their back, and it's Boaster to fall. Numbers starting to fade on that attacking side, and no one to deny this defuse. They need to go now. It's being defused, and it's Gavez! He pulls off the spike, looks for the fight, but Kayak's there to greet him. Another 3K in the pistol round from this man as his performance continues to skyrocket.
It feels like he could have stuck that.
He could have. I think he could have.
Feels like he could. But I understand the decision. It's like you hear all the shots going off around you. You want to maybe try and help your teammates or think they're a little bit closer than they are. But it's another unfortunate round for KC. I feel like they played it well, but Kayak has been the death dealer again. 16-7. He was so quick in that first half to get the showstopper online. It seems like he's on for another halfway there already. Nothing invested into this round by KC. It's only going to be the util.
Sugetsu buying some stars. Smoke goes down. They get an orb. Now they fight for the space after. Firing squad awaits them. Not bad for Aves finding one, but when they go back out, there's still plenty of guns trained in on that position. 9-5 now for Fnatic. Orb denial in a way. Kayak didn't get any more at least, so he'll still be halfway to the showstopper coming into KC's first buy round.
This is where if KC are going to have a chance in their map choice, you feel like the tide needs to change, but you do feel like there's a lot of potential for Fnatic. They've got a fair amount of weapons. Okay, as you mentioned, no orbs going the way of Kayak means that none of the ults are particularly close. they do have a lot of utility to make these fights awkward. I've liked the defensive side setup so far, but it didn't succeed. The majority of it has now been moved over to the other side of the map on B.
Yeah, I mean, that mini-map looks chaotic with all the utility waiting towards the very spot that at least Chronicle is now approaching. He will back off. Doesn't know the danger that he's avoiding by doing so. TP sent through from Martin. He takes it early, actually. I thought this was to allow some slightly quicker rotations, but just backing out of that control inside of Bath, a wall put up in his stead. That's going to last most of the round for Fnatic. Get through that will be very costly in terms of time, and I think that's what Alphier is doing now. He's going through to clear that out. Again, put those question marks up.
Ready.
Spike down B.
Next does well, drops the spike. Chronicle is just picked off
30 seconds left.
He was one of the only players that didn't have a gun, but it doesn't seem to matter. That's the A-side defense diminished. It was a heavy utility stack up on B and a heavy personnel stack up on A. But it didn't seem to matter. Oh, this round is already looking done. Aves down to just 6 HP. They're even going to throw in the showstopper just for good measure, just to make sure they get the job done. It's now 10 rounds on the board for Fnatic. And although the ideas seem decent for KC, the execution just hasn't been there.
Makes sense, I think, to use the showstopper here. It's not like we've seen KC be incapable of hero plays, and it's online early enough that it's certainly worth the commit. Looking at what they have for the next or next couple rounds, ults are going to come online. They've got a very stacked... very stacked economy in play in terms of ults for the Fnatic side, so I don't mind throwing that through. For KC, a timeout pulled into play as this round won't look nearly as strong for them in terms of credits. Their economy, whether ults or weapons, looking low as Fnatic breach double digits.
At least seems pretty calm.
Well, have you ever seen the contrary?
That's not the point. I have, it's just not Aang, it's other people. But yeah, 10-5 down on your own map choice. I think Fnatic starting off this half strong as well. And as said, like, in a couple of rounds now, it feels like you had the setup on one side and you forced them into the other players, and then you lose a fight to a singular sheriff, or you don't plant the spike, or like it's just been a lot of errors. And sure, like a lot of them have been minute. Like it's not like, oh, he's just whiffed a full spray or something like awful, but it's enough that you give that to Fnatic and they run away with the game. And that's what it feels like right now. 10-5 up. They've not really been too uncomfortable throughout, even though I feel like the composition from KC is incredibly awkward to play against. And my Alpha, he had a nasty shot last time. He's going to be careful this time, but it doesn't matter. Boaster, I feel like the towards the showers is his spot.
Without a doubt, he looks clean in there.
Where's the op? That's what I'm asking for. The Boaster operator on bind.
On the anti-eco?
You know,
pull it out.
It's historic.
Yeah, I think I like what Kayak's going for a little more. The double barrel op in this round when no one is working with those heavy shields.
You know, I'm just not a coward. I don't play things safe.
Oh, I see. Okay. I can see why they've been to more international events than you.
Is that true? Playing, yes.
I think playing, I would say confidently, yes. Well, double digits for Fnatic, looking to climb even higher. 11 rounds seemingly on the board as it is just exit plays and going down to the spike. Understandable. You glance at the ult economy, and that's the man they don't want to give one to. Already Nightfall online. Alpha comes in with another. And 11-5 is a very hard position for KC to come back into the game against, especially with the momentum very much in favor of Fnatic. They've been in full control of this attacking half.
And it's own flawless to boot. Like, they're going to keep themselves, as they did in the first half, with an incredibly strong economy. They had a 5-round streak there, and even though we saw this back and forth of rounds, like, going either way, it didn't matter. They always had economy, and they've set themselves up here. Even if KC mount a bit of a comeback, breaking them is going to be so incredibly difficult. And as you mentioned, other than that showstopper that was used, they haven't had to use any of those ults yet.
KC, on the other hand, may have to use their ultimates. A Thrash online to start this round out. Maybe put through early. With time to use it running out. Martine sees nothing. Players may have fallen back from the flash. Now's not the time to go pushing down, and it's a good job. Makes the decision to fall back. Chronicle's being spammed down to 10 HP.
He's gonna get 3 this round.
Yeah, if history is anything to say about it, I thought Kayak might have been dead to rights there.
One side playing very passive, on the other side starting to get aggressive. Sugetsu will win the initial fight. Crashies had found one on the other side of the map. They managed to bait out the wall already, but there is a plethora of utility still sat on the other side. The problem thus far is that Elite has gone down before most of it gets activated, but this time the crossfire is solid. They have missed out on one player though. Maybe not the player you want to miss out on, but Sugetsu stands strong. It's a 6th round at least for KC, but still a mountain to climb.
Oh, without a doubt, an uphill battle ahead of them. Plenty of ults coming online for them, but their opponents will not be far behind. And the problem is, for Fnatic, saving up this ult economy, dumping it into a round, well, that is going to get them within swinging distance of closing out this map. And let's not forget, this is KC's map pick. The battleground that they chose against Fnatic. They now need 5 in a row just to put things even. Fnatic not the kind of team that typically, is certainly not what they're known for, losing out on those leads. It's more coming back from behind. See if they can close this out.
Heretics recently did prove it was possible. It's definitely not likely. Standoff in the early round. KC with a few ults they can use to try and correct, and Alfie are actually playing the KO operator. It's not something I'd necessarily expect to see, especially with a operator player of boasted prowess on the server. Kind of expected the Ash drop to be in play, but you know, still disappointed. Seems like Chronicle, though, is about to come under some serious pressure. 3 players already setting up, a couple of flashes. One of them didn't quite connect, though. I don't think they expected him to be that close, and that definitely played in his favor. He could shoot the first, and while Crashies is not one to just sit still and wait, he has taken space and opened up B.
Yeah, as soon as Astra pops that stun on your run back, you know that you're in trouble. Someone was there to hear him, but Alpha trying to send that lurk up through A, despite it being a 4v2. He'll lose his life. Down and out of this round for the attempted flank, and KC with an opportunity if they can find this pick, but the trade comes in so quickly from Crashies. Now a plant will be secured. Cosmic Divide to work off of, unlikely to be used, but they know where that player's coming from. They've still got stars to play with and a Nightfall.
This is the tough thing, yeah. Nightfall, full belt of utility for Crashies. Stars can be put into play. Like, this is such a difficult post plant to try and get in from. Sugetsu has managed to bypass a lot, but then he's caught by the Seas, left on just 1 HP as he takes that final fight, and Crashies is the one that took the space, took the trades, and will be there to close out the round. 12 and 6. Seemed like more of a blip than a comeback. Now KC are going to have to find 6 rounds in a row. They still have the ultimate, but I think the bigger problem is the economy hasn't gone with it.
Nice killing, Kai. You're feeling it. I killed one, but thank you.
One away from the pit. Alpha just went away as well. You know, you look at this situation for KC. Yes, they have the ult advantage starting the round. That may change throughout the course of this, but also, if KC dump all their ults and win a round off of it, they've still got to make a big play back into this game, a big push. Fnatic, they can throw them all. If they win, they close the game. If they lose, they can build them back up again and fight back in later. This is an extremely difficult scenario for KC. Now, okay, drone's going to go through, but unless it gets the suppress, Martine will be able to just TP out of here. Burst gets a lot of damage in. Well, it's not actually that much. That looked like it was going to take Alpha very low, but he's barely got a lick of damage on him, and Chronicle hiding in this corner. They're not going to clear it. They're already looking the other way. This could be it. The nail in the coffin, the last perhaps, but a nice trade by Aves, even with the pistol.
The problem is every time a piece of ground is gained, a piece of ground has been lost. Aves is well aware of it, though. Fantastic read from him. Those 2 kills could be the turning point of the round, and Information also being found though, but this time he is caught.
30 seconds
Martin
left.
knows where Alpha is. Hasn't quite spotted Boaster. In fact, Boaster maybe now being a little bit more hesitant. 20 seconds left on the clock, and both players
Face your fear!
looking to try and push forward, try and play ahead. But the problem is,
One enemy
that is where
remaining.
that utility comes in. Alfia's caught one, but
10
10
seconds
seconds
left.
left. They have to make a move into the site. Boaster is going to be left alone, and while didn't see Martin run around the corner, they'll keep themselves alive a little longer. And actually, they didn't really have to use any of the ults in that round, so they've done quite well.
Yeah, those safety nets still there to fall back on. That's what we needed to see. If this round was won off of an ult dump, I'd have no faith in that comeback. But considering how it starts, that pick is everything. Aves gets a rifle out of that situation, taking it from the corpse of his teammate. The fact that they avoid going down after the nightfall, that swing inside of Hookah going the way of KC, that cements the victory. 5 in a row for overtime on their map pick. We've certainly seen stranger things happen, but it is that ult economy of Fnatic that scares me. It's heating up round by round. Alpha now has his to work with. If they get on site, the pit will be there to play off of. If Chronicle doesn't go down early and already pressure put onto Sadik, he has to run right into the waiting arms of Fnatic. An opening pick, and the best that the remaining players can do is delay. The mosh pit will buy them some time, but Aves will be under pressure, and Kayak will not let up. That flank watch by Chronicle again, finding one, and this time he'll double up, seemingly closing out the map. A series still to be played for, but unless Martin has a 1v5 up his sleeve, with 5 HP left after the first, this one will have to be a reverse sweep for KC.
Yeah, we could just run the title, go to the break. There's absolutely no chance he's going to be winning that one. Fnatic, it's a 13-7.